Peter Zonneveld, Neste. I'm going to talk about how we can accelerate climate change through renewable solutions, but first we'll play a little video about Neste.
Reusing what we have can change the world. That is why Neste is pushing change with renewables. We are in the business of fighting climate change, fueling action today, as our planet and communities can't wait. Instead of throwing waste into landfills, we collect and turn it into renewable and circular solutions. Now is the time for change. By offering these solutions for heavy-duty industries, we change the way trucks drive, planes fly, and plastics are made. With renewables, Neste powers thousands of American cities and businesses. And by helping our customers reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we create a healthier planet for future generations. Because renewables run the change we need, and change runs on renewables.
I must say, I really like the screen being so high up. Usually I'm 6'7", pretty tall. Usually I actually stand in the projection, but now I have to look up, so that's quite amazing. If we can have the slides again, please. A couple of things about Neste. So the first one, I've got the clicker myself. Our purpose is to create a healthier planet for our children. And this might sound a little bit corny or like a marketing tagline, but for us, it's truly what drives everything we do. And it's, I must say, from a personal perspective, it's great to work for a company like that truly believes in such a mission and such a purpose. A little bit more about Neste, and I guess this, Mr. Ambassador, is a little bit more about the Finnish link. We're a by origin national oil company founded in the 40s, actually to create some energy security against a strong Eastern European or Eastern neighbor. We're seeing some of that come back again at this point in time. But about 15 years ago, we started to look for alternatives for fossil fuel. And we invented what is now known as renewable diesel. And today, we're the #1, the largest producer globally for renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel. Thank you. And we're not stopping there. As you can see, the volumes, we're continuing to grow. We're going to double. We'll have doubled the volumes by 26 compared to where we were in 23. So significant growth. And what we do is really focus predominantly on those hard-to-abate sectors, like heavy-duty transport. We have Neste My Renewable Diesel, which actually is already becoming a pretty established solution. There's a lot of companies that use it already, sometimes 100% for their fleets. And we're now starting to look also at aviation. So Neste My Sustainable Aviation Fuel, which also gives about 80% greenhouse gas reductions compared to conventional jet, really is a great solution to decarbonize aviation. We hear a lot of talk about it at the moment, but there's not that much action yet. But we really do believe that this is an area of very significant opportunity and growth. The final area is renewable polymers and chemicals, where either we recycle chemically or we create intermediate products for plastics from renewable feedstocks like used cooking oil or animal fat. And so why do we need these renewable fuels if we have electric, for example? If you look at this the big white box is the global annual consumption of oil. A bit over half of that is for transport, road, air, and water. If we would bring on stream 800 million vehicles, electric vehicles, because electric is a great solution, particularly if the electricity is renewable. If we would bring on stream 800 million EVs by 2040, and that's pretty ambitious, we would decarbonize 20% of transport. That alone cannot be the solution. We believe that renewable fuels can displace 1 billion tons of fossil fuel, about 40%. So together 60%. Still not enough. So we need more solutions, hydrogen, e-fuels, and so on. So what we believe is that we need all solutions. We need to look at them on a level playing field, and let's let the customer also decide what works best for them. And we have, a little view on, we have been delivering on our promises. I think, true to Finnish style, we under-promise and over-deliver. But there's a bunch of things here that we believe are worthwhile mentioning. So we have been continuing to grow in 23, or been making investments to grow in the future. We expanded our Singapore refinery. We basically doubled it. We added another refinery. And we started our joint venture with Marathon in California. We've displaced for our customers, about 11 million tons of CO2, which is about the equivalent of taking 4 million cars off the market. And 40% of our product was sold in North America. The US in particular is a very important market for us in Neste, and we're seeing continued growth. And finally, our feedstocks, 92% of our feedstocks were waste and residue, the remainder being vegetable oils. And so a lot of people ask, well, this is sounds really, really nice, but is there actually enough of it? And, we would say, actually, yes, we believe there is. Because if you look at the graph on the left, so today there's a bit over 10 million tons globally. This is not just Neste, but this is everybody, this is the entire market. And we see that going up to about 40 million tons in 2030. You see that the supply, so the production and the demand, continues to be balanced. In 2030, we believe that's going to be about 30 million tons of renewable diesel, 15 million tons of SAF, give or take. What is important there is regulation. So if as a producer we know that in 2030 there's going to be a given demand, we can start investing in that production capacity to deliver that demand. So the regulation, we'll come back to that later, is from our perspective really important. And in the US, there's also a growing momentum. We have seen both at federal level and state level, there's actually good regulation up to 25 at least. The Inflation Reduction Act has helped renewable fuels, as well as investment opportunities. And we've seen some really interesting policies being developed actually here in Washington itself. We're seeing businesses and cities adopt sustainable solutions, and there's actually very significant growth at the moment. And we're growing here in Washington. So we're increasing our supply, and we're supporting jobs. And a couple of examples here. On the left, you'll see our first card lock to sell Neste My renewable diesel through our partner Coleman. We're selling Neste My SAF to aviation partners like Boeing and Alaska Airlines. And we have a subsidiary called Mahoney that actually collects used cooking oil at 7,000 restaurants in Washington and paying for that used cooking oil as well. So good for the economy. And finally, public policy. So we think it's really important to extend the policy frameworks that have proven to be successful to speed up the green transition. And we've got a few examples here. On the left, starting with Washington, and we're just discussing this with Reuven and Tim. What we're seeing is actually, we're seeing Washington starting to emerge as the national thought leader in areas of the clean fuel standard, SAF policy, and really thank you very much for driving this across the board. Department of Ecology, the rulemaking is now going to become very important, as well as initiatives for infrastructure. Very important to realization of the growth of renewable fuels. If we then look at the Pacific coast corridor that really is emerging. We see really a corridor for cleaner fuels, renewable fuels, which kind of, with Hawaii now coming on stream as well, being the final piece of the puzzle. And what we also believe is really important at this point in time is that California really adopts the LCFS rules that they have proposed now, this year still. And finally, federal. We think it's important to extend the blender's tax credit and the SAF credit. This is a proven policy, so why change it? Let's at least extend it. EPA, let's strengthen the renewable volume obligations and ideally do that this year. So we believe that all of these will really help to accelerate climate action in the US and Washington in particular.